Everybody online says that you can buy real estate with no money, but 99% of them have actually never done it. I did, and today I'm gonna show you how it really works. When I tell people that I bought real estate with zero money out of my pocket, a lot of times they don't believe me or think it's some kind of a guru trick, right? To get them to listen to. But the truth is, buying real estate with zero money is actually real. It is just not what TikTok and fake coaches make it seem like. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Omar Muhammad, and I came to this country with nothing. No money, no credit, nobody taught me anything about real estate. And the first time I heard about getting a property with zero money down, I thought it was a scam. I thought there's no way that could be real. But when I actually did it, everything changed. I remember sitting at the closing table, not bringing a check, nothing, just showing up. And now I own a property. And I was like, how could that be real? And since then, my life have never been the same. But let's be real. There are only 3 ways that you can get real estate with no money: seller finance, subject to, and hard money lenders / partnerships. But 95% of people should start with seller finance. It's the easiest, the cleanest, and the safest, and is the most predictable. So let's dig a little deeper in seller finance, and I will have a whole other episode explaining to you exactly how to write a contract, how to come up with the numbers for seller finance. So make sure, if you haven't done that yet, to follow, subscribe, because this episode will come soon. So why seller finance actually work? You do not need to go to the bank. Nobody checks your credit, nobody checks your bank account, nothing. Literally, the seller becomes the bank. How does a regular loan work? Find a house you want to buy, the seller wants money. You go to the bank, you take a loan, you give it to the seller is out of the equation now. You pay payments to the bank. Now, if the seller doesn't need the cash right now or need some of it, you could tell them, hey, I will give you that money you want, but we'll make it over payments, just like you would have with the bank. This is how banks make money. They lend you and then they collect back with interest. So it's very lucrative, even in some markets where it's like a buyer's markets where the sellers are not getting what they're asking for. It can be a great tool for them to close quickly, get monthly payments, and a very easy objection. Some sellers might tell you, how I know that you're gonna make your payments? Simple, just like how does the bank know? If you don't pay your car payment, they'll come take the car. If I don't pay you, you can foreclose on me. So you tell them I'll put the deed in lieu and they can check that with an attorney. And if I don't make the payments, they can simply just foreclose on you. That makes sure they're safe, but you will make the payment and you ensure them that you will make the payment. Will it work for everyone? Probably not. But let's say the seller doesn't want to deal with tenants, don't want to do any repairs, they live far. This house as an example, when we did seller finance, 2 older couple, they didn't want to rent it, they already had a house under a contract, couldn't go up the steps. Here they wanted something that's a ranch and they don't want a tenant, they don't want to put it on the market, they had a lot of their belongings here and they really didn't need the cash, they just want to get the property off their hands. So I did the seller finance for a while and then I refinanced and gave them their money and it worked great. So a lot of people would think that people will never agree to sell their house in seller finance. I'll tell you right now, you are wrong. We're living proof. I'm living in that house, I got seller finance. And it happens every day. So to get a seller finance deal, you need to structure a few things. The first one is the purchase price. How much is he willing to sell this house for? You can structure the terms. So after you agree on a purchase price is the interest rates. And a great tip I use with seller is your price, my terms, or my price, your terms, right? If they said as an example $150,000, then you can start negotiating the interest. You can see how much would it cost you actually if you would have went to the bank, and what's interest rates now, 6 dot something. So a lot of them will be more lenient with the interest. They don't care that much about the interest as far as they're getting a good payment. And you can be honest with them. You know, I've did some with a 2% interest. I did some with like 4% interest. So that's negotiation between you and the seller. So once you get the interest rate, the other part is how long will you pay it off? When is the payment off for? Is it a 30-year, 10-year, 6 years, 3 years? You can even do it even as low as like 1 year, right? And then when you start making this payment, after a year, you got the house fixed up, you can refinance, because that now you treat it as a bank, as if you have a bank. Just regular, as if you have a regular mortgage. You can go to the bank and refinance and give them their money back if you fixed up the house and made it worth more. So just remember, you need purchase price, you need interest rate, and you need how many years. When is the payoff? How long will it take you to pay it off? You know, and you would understand that if you bought a car recently, they tell you, hey, this percentage, if you do the car for 7 years, if you do the car payment for 5 years, or you pay it off in 4 years. What's different is the longer you go, the more interest you pay and the less that's going towards the balance. One thing to get yourself very familiar familiar with is an amortization calculator and start playing. Put 100K purchase price, put a 3% interest, and then start changing how long it will take you to pay it off. You will see that the monthly payments start charging. You can work with that and negotiate it with the seller to the number that you're comfortable with. And then the last but not least is the down payment. If you put a down payment that goes towards your principal, some sellers will ask you for a down payment just to show a good faith, but a lot of times they wouldn't, especially if the property needs some work. Now, to jump real quick on subject to, let's say it's the same exact scenario, but they have a mortgage. You just basically assume their mortgage, take the mortgage over, and there is a lot of information on that. It's very similar, but you just take over the mortgage or you wrap around it. So they make a new mortgage around their mortgage. So let's say they have a payment of 700, you just do a new mortgage with them. Just be careful, because a lot of times if a seller has a mortgage, there will be something called due on sale clause. It means if they resold the house, they have to pay the lender back. So make sure they check their mortgage, and that's another great way to acquire property. Not my favorite, but you can do it, because a lot of times when they have mortgage, they lived in the house for a while, they have some equity, so you can work out something and pay them off. They can use that equity. The last one, which is one of my favorites, is bringing hard money lenders in or partnerships. So you'd find a house, people want cash, right? You go to a hard money lender. Let's say the house needs 100K. We're just going to use 100K. Every house in real estate is 100K for easy math. They want 100K. You give them the 100K, but you borrow that money from a hard money lender. Now, a lot of hard money lenders will want you to have a good credit. They want to see that you are just like a bank, have a job. But if you don't and the deal is really, really good, they might take the risk on it, because guess what? If the deal is that great and you mess it up, they will go fix it themselves and make the money. So you find a property that the seller wants cash and it needs some updates. You can do something to it to make it worth more. Because here's the case, because if it doesn't, if there's no value you can add, you're not going to make money. So if you buy it for 100, but you can fix it up and it's worth 170 or 200, then you can add value, right? The idea is always to buy something, you put some work in it, and now it's worth more. And you should get paid. Don't feel bad for that. A lot of people were like, well, don't you feel bad lowballing offers? No, because you're going to do the work. People don't know how hard of a work it takes to, manage construction, get the project done, get the project on budget, dealing with contractors, subcontractors, timelines, lenders, everyone. You should get paid for that work. So if you bought the house, they don't want to do the work, or they have whatever problem it is, you borrowed the money to buy it and the money to fix it. Now, as we said, you give them 100K, you put 50 to fix it. Now it's worth 200. Congratulations, you just made 50K. So you can go to the bank. Now the hard money lenders, you pay them every month, interest only payment. So in 100K, maybe you pay them like $700 a month. A lot of people can afford that. Now that the house is fixed up, you go to an actual bank and say, hey, I want to refinance. It's called the burst strategy. They come and see, oh wow, you have a nice house here, it's 200, we'll give you 180 or we'll give you 170. You give the hard money lender the 150 back, you walk away with 10 or 20K, and you got a house for free. I've done that numerous of times and it always works. You just have to find a good deal. So what actual steps could you take right now to start finding these houses with these real estate deals with no money? Start looking at the phone. It's going to be very hard. I've never seen it happen where that deal comes to you unless you have people just working for you doing that. You're going to have to find them yourself since you're starting with no money. And when I was starting with no money, I didn't have that leverage to just go on the market, compete with big people or compete with, wholesalers. So I had to do the work myself. So I got on the phone and start smiling and dialing, start cold calling myself. And I found these sellers. You can start like around your network. You can buy a list of motivated sellers. You can find a list source and the PropStream. A lot of these softwares, you can pull a motivated sellers. You can call them. You can hire cold callers. Some people send mailers. There's a lot of different ways you can reach out to that seller. I'll make another episode for that. But for the sake of time, these are steps that you can take. So start reaching out, start doing some marketing to find that. Second, start learning like you're watching this video, or if you're on the podcast listening to it, start learning how to structure these deals. And then just simply make offers. You'll be very surprised how many people will accept your offers. And last but not least, understand the numbers. Payment, cash flow, interest, amortization, and ARV, which is the after repair value. You gotta understand how much this house will be worth once you're done working, and be realistic. And here's the truth. Here's what TikTok gurus don't tell you. Not every house is a deal. This is not going to be very easy. Because it's not easy, not too many people do it. So if you actually do it, you will find deals. Not every seller is going to say yes. You need to learn some negotiation skills. And just a quick tip on negotiation skills, always show them what's in it for them. Why should they do the deal? If you go there talking about me and I don't have money, they will never do it. For using this example, it was all about them. They can move quick. They don't have to worry about nothing. The house is in my name. I'm responsible. I'm taking care of it. I'm updating it. Then it's all about what's in it for you. You need patience and you need discipline and consistency. So it will work if you do all that. But a lot of people fail and they can never get a deal with no money because they want the shortcuts. They need that fast outcome. And it's just in real estate that doesn't happen, especially if you got no leverage, which is capital. So if you want to get into real estate and you're starting from zero like I did, this is your path. This is real. This is very possible. It's reasonable. And I'm a proof in front of you that it does work. You do not need money to start. You need knowledge, discipline, and a courage to have these conversations and making offers. So if you really want to see how to exactly break it down with the seller, drop in the comments below. Let me know what can be beneficial to you and I will explain it, make more videos. And make sure you follow me on Instagram at Mr. Property O. We'll put it on the screen here for you. So see you all next time.